Okay.
I guess we're ready, aren't we, Doc?
We're ready. I think we're ready.
We're ready. So you got you.
Anyone know what today is? Special day today. Anyone? History? You know what today is?
Let's think.
No, he knows.
Today is, the Ides of March.
There we go, the Ides of March. All right. Those of you unaware what the Ides of March are, we'll hear a poem about it later. You'll know all about what happened on the Ides of March. This is April. It's March 15th. And for those of you who have any Irish in you, Monday St. Patrick's Day, so you'll have to remember to wear something green.
You don't, you get pinched, right?
That or wave a dollar bill around, one of the two. Okay, announcements. What's going on? We've got at the Winnsboro Center for the Arts until I think it's April 13th or 14th. A one-woman show. The gal's name is Ellie Taylor. She's a wonderful artist. Exhibit is free, so go and get a chance. Stop by there, take a look. On the 23rd of this month, just rapidly approaching, Joe Crookston will be performing at the Winnsboro Center for the Arts. And I believe it's close to sold out, so check with them, check with their website, see what's available. On April the 3rd at the library, they're having their annual fundraiser, which used to be the Mad Hatter's Tea, but I don't know what it's called now. Anyway, it's from 11 to 1 at the library, right here at the Gilbert Memorial Library on Main Street on the 3rd of April. The 6th, which is Saturday, is the opening day of the Farmers Market on Market Street. And they've slightly extended their hours so they can have time to tear down. They'll be there from 8 to 12:30 every Saturday morning until the end of October. Also that weekend, there's a theater production at the Art Center called Sweet Surrender. It's directed by Bob Hibbard. He's a wonderful director, and it's comedy, and it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. I don't know what the ticket prices are, but they're usually pretty low.
Would you say the name of it was?
Sweet Surrender, S-U-I-T-E.
I think I saw some of that last night on Turner Classic Movies.
Well, I don't know. But, then also that weekend, the 6th and the 7th, which is Saturday, Sunday, the American Legion gun show at the City Park will be
When is that again?
6th and the 7th of April. Saturday and Sunday. Also the weekend after that, 12th, 13th, and 14th of April, Sweet Surrender will have a second week. Also in April, the 11th through the 13th, there's a flea market and swap meet in Sulphur Springs. And I'm not sure exactly where it's located. I think it's someplace along Highway 11 in Sulphur Springs. The 17th of March is of April rather, is the 118th anniversary of the city of Winnsboro, which was officially incorporated in 1901, even though it was founded in 1854. And then on the 27th at the Art Center, Eric Anderson will be in town. For those of you who don't know who Eric is, he was big in folk music when I was young. When I was in teens and 20s, early 20s, he was big in the folk scene. You probably recognize some of the stuff he's written. Anyway, he'll be here on the 27th. And I won't announce anything else coming up. the book festival on the 3rd and 4th of May. And it was at the Depot last year. I don't know if they're going to do it at Depot again. It's a collaboration between the Winnsboro News and the library. That's all I know about it right now. Find out more later. So those are the basic announcements for the stuff upcoming. And here in downtown Winnsboro. Well, all my poetry books I was reading out of my soul last month, so
That's a good thing.
I had to go back to this Calvin Miller, Apples, Snakes, and Bellyaches book, which was written for kids, and most of it's biblical based. Calvin Miller was a preacher, and wrote many books. This is his book of poetry. This is a bit long, but it's the only one I'll read. It's called Simba, and it's about some guy named Daniel and a lion he hung out with. I've not read it before, so we'll see what comes up. Daniel. Oh yeah. Well, I remember the night that they threw him into our den in the center of Persia. I wanted to eat him right on the spot. Nothing personal, mind you. It's just that our keepers had starved us for 17 weeks and 3 days. And I was so hungry that I could have eaten a Mesopotamian, bracelets and everything. Anyway, suddenly there the man was, Daniel of Israel, lowered on ropes and dangling down to the stone floor before us. When he finally landed, he simply knelt down and started out praying like he was just saying a prayer before dinner. But thanks to the food he was soon to receive. Only he was the food here, and we were the eaters. I'd never much put stock in God till right then, but a much welcome dinner that says its own grace can make even atheist lions believers. When the food's kneeling there and blessing itself, no lion with brains could doubt is a God. Daniel was praying, but most unaware that he was himself our answer to prayer. To be sure, he was less of an answer than we had desired. He was scrawny and piddling, grizzled and meatless, bland as an unsalted, unpeppered dog. Not much for a den of angle-boned lions. 4 was our number, and twice that our hunger. First there was Leo, black-maned and thick-chested, from South Abyssinia, caught as a cub and ripped from his mother, and mad at the world ever since. Next came old Rex, and a small older fellow, fur-thin for summer, mangy and elderly, bony from hunger, and wrinkled from age. He drooled when he ate, yet never ate much, claiming a big meal was hard to digest. Not much of a man-eating lion, I'd say. He'd not eat the whole man that got in his way. Old men, he said, were just too non-succulent, especially if they'd eaten spinach or mushrooms, or any strong cheeses like Limburger or Brie. Rex insisted that cheeses were rat food, and often gave lions a mousy complexion. Kimba was all a Numidian could be. He loved to eat preachers just for the sport. For preachers, he claimed, were the loudest of humans a lion might eat. And thinning out preachers made room on the street and helped God to keep his world somewhat quiet. So there were the 4 of us, hungry and lean. Why did the king throw Daniel our way? Well, some said Darius was really a god. The whole dumb idea was crazy to us. Darius was barely 5'3" tall. Anyone looking could instantly tell that he was no god. In fact, he wasn't a very big human. However, he did have an army and power and could throw to the lions just about anyone who said that he wasn't all that he said he was. We each one hung back in the shadows that night. Skinny he was, but we frothed him up fairly. And while he was praying, we walked up and growled. He looked kind of sad, like, right in our eyes, and said, "Boys, I'm sorry. I know you are hungry, but maybe tomorrow night, just keep on waiting." And when he went back to his own peaceful praying, as we got aggressive and ready to eat, we all roared a little and tried to get Daniel to say an amen so we could devour him without any conscience, cause truthfully, we hated to pounce on anyone praying. It made us feel so atheistic. Still, he prayed for so long, he left us no choice but to stop our wild roaring and shift into pounce, spring-loaded ready. We were when it hit us, lockjaw. We were unable to open our mouths. Daniel, it seemed, felt sorry for us. I swear you could tell that he pitied our lockjaw. He knew that a lion's mouth is his weapon, for where there's no bite, there just is no lion. It's simple as that. Oh, we could have slapped him around to be sure, but since God had already locked up our jaws, we feared he might just as well lock up our joints. All things being equal, we decided right there to growl through clenched teeth and just call it quits. Well, morning came after a long night had passed, and Darius came back to find Daniel praying and not at all harmed. Uneaten martyrs can make you feel great, like God's somehow bigger than you had supposed. So Darius smiled broadly, looking very relieved. It took quite a load off his shoulders to know that there was a God who was bigger than he. No longer responsible for the whole world, Darius could smile. He was free to play checkers the whole afternoon. Darius and Daniel soon walked away, but not till Darius had ordered his corporals to throw down a few of the fat extra wise men, and just as they lowered them into our pit, our lockjaw began to feel better at once. Darius himself died not too much later, proving, of course, that Daniel was right. Darius was really not much of a god, but the real God that Daniel prayed to that night is still quite alive. We're the first to admit it, for ever since that night of our lockjaw, we think quite a lot about God, especially at mealtime. And out of respect, we never devour anyone who is praying if anything else can be found for a meal. Simba by Calvin Miller.
Yes.
Who's next? Okay, don't all get up at once.
Jim beat me to it.
Yep, I can see that.
This has been a very good week for me, and I didn't write either one of these. And I don't have, my flip phone didn't let me pick stuff up and transfer it so I can see it. So it's in my handwriting, which I can't hardly read myself. Okay, this first one was written by Carl Cracker. I don't know, Crackle. I don't know if that's true or not. It's called My Hat. My hat is part of my everyday garb. Like to a fence that must have a barb. It serves a purpose for most things in life. Churches, chores, and stepping out with my wife. If need be, I can use it to water my horse, and when meeting a lady, I tip it, of course. The fit and the shape, well, it must be just right. And I keep my better one for stepping out at night. I swap my horse with it so he'll get up and go. Then I wear my spiffy one to the county rodeo. I've got a real nice one I can wear with a suit. I've even got one that matches my boots. My cowboy hat shape provides shade from the sun. For different things in life, I need more than one. I have one hat with a wide brim that sits real tall, and they all have a place on my wall. My straw ones are great for the summer days, and some cause folks to stare and gaze. A hat is a right to your character. It adds. A hat with character speaks of the life you've had. I can't leave the house without a hat on my head, but I do take it off when I go to bed. I've got hats in all colors, shapes, and styles, and a new hat always puts me with a smile. I never go without a hat on my head, even for just a trip to the shed. I always remember to put on a hat, it seems, but there are times I forget my jeans. Nothing beats a good cowboy hat. I've always had mine. You can bet on that. Yep, I'd feel downright undressed without a hat on my head. It'd be like eating a sandwich without any bread. So get started right. When I get out of bed, I make the tough decision of what hat for my head. This one is P.T. Muldoon. Okay. It's called Puncher. I'm a fan of true cow punchers, fine horsemen, storied mounts. Lives the life in a great wide open where honest work is its counts, what counts. Hours spent in the saddle to craft the talent strong, making good miles matter, seeing fine old skills carried on. The epic top hand of what stories we read, this guard of blessed bovine, good craft chose over speed. They sit tall in a saddle, patterned from a bygone age. Although they are not wealthy, they proudly earn their wage. It started with the big herds 200 years ago. Their numbers gotten smaller, but there are still a few that try to carry on this living here between the ground and God and guide their cattle safely as they wrestle life from the sod. That's it. Oh, but I've got 2 phone numbers. I've been calling all day, but I never leave a voicemail. Saturday, May 18th, and it's in the 903 area code, so it can't be too far. At the Red Bull Ranch, there's a cowboy poetry gathering with cowboy poets and cowboy musicians and a chuck wagon meal. Like I say, I've called these 2 numbers, but 903 can't be too far. I wouldn't think. I don't know how far 903 goes. I know it doesn't go to Nacogdoches because that's not a 903 number down there.
Keep us posted.
Okay.
We got 2 more quick announcements. I got 2 more quick announcements I forgot about. Monday, Randy Lindsay, you all know Randy, he works at the radio station, and he's the announcer for most of the games at the high school. He's going in for surgery on Monday, early. He has esophageal cancer. They want to try to remove it. I don't know what the prognosis is on whether that will be successful or not, so keep him in your prayers on Monday. Also, I spoke to Mary White, the director of the president of the board of directors of the Art Center, about mentioned this a couple of months ago about incorporating having a cowboy poetry event sometime during Golden Trails, and they're going forward with that. Eventually, I'll get her in touch with you, Joe Dan, to see if you can get some names of some of the poetry, cowboy poets that you've encountered over the years attending see if we can get some of them. If they're out-of-towners, the Art Center will work something where they'll put them up for the night, that type of thing. That's still in the planning stages, but anyone who writes cowboy poetry is invited to be part of that event, and we'll be putting that together sometime between now and October. So just keep that keep that stored up in that thing up there. Fuzzy thing inside your skull.
Okay. Who's next?
I'd be willing to let anybody else who wants to be next. I'm sitting there listening to you.
Cowboy Ken.
Yeah, you did really well.
My,
Must be bad.
talking about how much you like that hat, it reminded me of the scene in a movie called Smokey and the Bandit. He was fond of his hat. He said he only took it off for one thing. I don't know about you, Jim, but that's what Burt Reynolds said. And before the movie was over, we saw his hat hanging on the radio antenna. Well, thank Donnie for keeping this place so nice. This looks beautiful, you know. I'm encouraged every time I come in here. I feel better when I leave. So, Conrad already mentioned today is the Ides of March. And I hadn't thought much about that till I got looking for something to read tonight, and I ran across a poem about the Ides of March. And I did a little research on it. The Ides of March is a date on the Roman calendar which matches up with March the 15th on our calendar. In 44 BC, which was right before Doc was born, I think, 44 BC, Julius Caesar was warned by this seer, this fortune teller, beware of the Ides of March. We got that warning. So, on the 15th of March, Julius Caesar headed up to the Parliament building. They were going to meet there, and of course, you know, his two best friends, I guess, were Brutus and Cassius, put together a bunch of senators and decided that they were going to take over the government. And so, on the way up there, the seer happened to be on the roadside when Caesar went by, and he said, "Aha, the Ides of March are here." And nothing has happened. The old seer said, "Yes, they have come, but they have not gone." Still the Ides of March. So when he got up there, he got attacked with 60 people supposedly that had daggers, you know, and killed him there before the meeting got started. I don't know if I'd like to be a Caesar back in those days. You know, they didn't have too good elections, you know. They had those turnovers by killing whoever was in power. It says, while he was on his way to the theater of Pompeii, that's where the government was meeting, he was assassinated there by 60 senators and his two friends. The seer had told him, beware the Ides of March. Anyway, the poem that I found in there, the Ides, I didn't know, anybody know what an Ide is? I didn't know. So I did a little research. It's a bad omen that something's going to happen. So somebody sends you an Ide, beware. The poem is entitled The Ides of March. And it says, beware the Ides of March, the seer said to Caesar. But no one paid him much attention because the seer was such a teaser. Just last week, the seer had said, beware the rear, Cassius. Whatever it is he's been eating has left him awfully gaseous. Thought of Doc again. Poor Cassius was so self-conscious that he stopped eating for a week. It gave him a lean and hungry look that left him anything but meek. Then the seer said to Brutus, you need to get out of this joint. I see you're about to be canned unless you can show dear Caesar the point. That's a pretty good idea, Brutus said. I think that's what we should do. Both me and Cassius can needle him, and some of the other senators will too. But when the seer spoke to Caesar, it was hard for the emperor to decide what course of action he should take, because he didn't know what was an eye. Then people were in awe of the seer's power and the things that he could see. They never knew that the things he said only helped to fulfill his own prophecy. I don't know who wrote that, it didn't say. Somebody might find that out. But anyway, I thought that was kind of appropriate since this in fact is the Ides of March according to the Roman calendar. I was looking through a agriculture magazine the other day and I ran across this thing called the Agricultural Pledge. It was written by a little lady named Valerie Cochran of Broomfield, Colorado. It says, as the sun sets low and in the heavens and our final cow is fed, only then we sit at the dinner table and slowly bow our head. We thank the Lord for health and family. We thank the Lord for friends. But what we're really thankful for is how each day begins. We slowly stoke the fire. We drink a cup of joe. We kiss our family and out the door we go. We start up the old tractor like many times before, hoping to see that puff of smoke and hear that old engine roar. Our clients see us coming and perky ears awake. Each morning we are right on time. We have never been too late. Through blowing snow, beating rain, we don't take a minute off. We've dedicated our life to the best. We surely have given agriculture our all. I thought that's a neat point. It was in a little magazine I think the Tractor Supply puts out. So just wanted to share those two things with you. I had another little thought which I'd like to read, but I don't see it right now. But it said something like this. You can't change what's already happened, but you can start now and change how it ends. Thanks.
Trying to decide which one to do, but anyway. My name is Kris. I'm back.
Go back.
I'm back.
That's half.
I know my hat's in the car. Let's see. Nah, I'm good. Let's see. If I can get it going here. No. This one is about spring. That's the title of it. So let's say. So many flowers are blooming. Petite little squirrels come out to play. Really big bears awake from their slumber. Imaginative children enjoy a walk with their friends. No tree is left standing without any leaves. So go ahead, jump for joy because spring is here. That one was kind of short, huh? I found that one today, or yesterday, whichever it was. And since I missed Donna's birthday party, plus everybody else's party, but anyway, I found this one just now. Let's see. This is a very special day. Your friendship has filled our life far beyond what words can say. I give thanks to the Lord for sending you my way. That's why we celebrate today. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Don. And last one. My guitar has 6 strings. It gets lonely when nobody sings. Musical and magical. My pick makes my guitar sound. So magical, and no matter where I go, she's right there. When I play my guitar, people always stare. We sound so good together. I hope my guitar will stay with me forever. My guitar has 6 strings, but it gets lonely. When no one sings, my guitar is never out of tune. It doesn't matter who I play it to. Whether you're happy, mad, or feeling blue, just remember, my guitar will help you get through.
Oh,
We know yours is gonna be the best, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm going to be speaking for 2 of us tonight, because we have some very special guests from Hawkins, Texas. We have Brooke White, and what was your name again?
Jill.
I'm going to pay for that one here.
Yeah.
Anyway, she sent me a few poems and all that. I brought 2. They're fairly short, and then I have one that I'd like to read. And hopefully, like I said, I understand Brooke had wrote some poetry in the past and all that. Hopefully down the road she'll be able to join in with the group and help represent Hawkins. Of course, we've all come to the end of the road one day or another. And Jill had sent this because she does work for a assisted living center in Graham, Texas. So she deals with death nearly every day. This is called When Tomorrow Starts Without Me. The author is unknown. When the tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not there to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with the tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry me way up it today. While traveling of the many things, while thinking of the many things, we didn't get to say, I know how much you love me as much as I love you. And each time that you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. When tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart.
Jill wrote that?
No, it's anonymous. She sent it to me. She liked it. And she wanted to share it. This Mary, of course, I know there's 3 or 4 veterans in here, including myself. I sang it the one song that I sang Tuesday night about the veterans. So this one's called I Know You. I think she added a little bit in here to it, but mostly it's anonymous writer. It's called I Know You. You fall to your knees, not from faith, but from weakness when you hear taps. The faded army clothes, the worn badges, but proud medal that you wear say so much. You may not know me, but I know you. You are a veteran from a war no one liked. You gave when no one wanted. You suffered when no one cared. You saluted a flag that you felt turned its back on you. You are a Vietnam veteran. I breathed freedom because you cared. My children know freedom because you fought for it. You may not know me, but I know you, and I want to say thank you. You're my favorite American soldier again. And mine, we reenacted a poem a fella brought to me when I was in Arizona. And the timing had to be perfect at the very end. And you'll know why here in just a second.
This is one of your poems?
This is called Silver Bells and Golden Spurs. I'll turn it this way maybe. But I had a gentleman bring it to me and want us to recreate it in a skit. It goes like this. 'Twas a mining town called Golden Gulch, while the West was yet untamed. There were 2 bad men that inside made a bet, and the winnings was never claimed. The boys had ridden into town one payday afternoon to line the bar at the Lucky Star, which was Dandy Rand's saloon. Now, Dandy Dan was an ornery cuss. If by chance you made him sore, his only law was a lightning draw of the heavy guns that he wore. On his watch chain hung a dozen bells of the finest silver spun, each tiny bell for a man that fell when the dandy drew his gun. They seemed to jingle merrily to a tune that brought him luck, but they rang the bell for the man that fell when dandy rang him up. Well, the boys had finished a round of drinks when the barroom doors swang wide and a man walked in with a reckless grin and a funny cat-like stride. On his dusty boots were golden spurs. His face was lean and brown, and at each hip the well-matched grips of 6 guns holstered down. He spoke in a voice that was deadly quiet and said, "I've come to waste some shells on a man, they say, whose draw is quick, with a chain of silver bells. A dozen bells for a dozen men buried somewhere on the plain. It's my intent to beat that gent. I've come for Dandy's chain." Well, the dandy faced the stranger's gaze. His coat was buttoned tight. A gun swung free from each knee, but the bells were hid from sight. "So it's the dandy's silver bells on which your heart is set. That's a fancy pair of spurs you wear. Would you care to make a bet?" "The silver bells for the golden spurs, but I'll warn you from the start. You'll lose that bet, and all you'll get is a bullet through the heart." Well, the stranger smiled his reckless grin and said, "If the dandy tries, they'll find him dead with a chunk of lead placed neat between his eyes." Then the stranger unbuckled his golden spurs and he slid along the bar. "I'm calling the hand of Dandy Rand. Come out, wherever you are." Then slowly the dandy's hand went down and unbuttoned his lapel, and there it rested on a checkered vest, the chain of silver bells. The stranger watched with narrowed eyes. The time had passed for talk. He hadn't drawed, but his hands were clawed like the feet of a diving hawk. Then suddenly the dandy's hand went down for his right-hand gun. No one saw the stranger draw, but 2 shots rang out as one. The dandy stumbled to his knees with a look of wild surprise, and with a chunk of lead, like the stranger said, placed neat between the eyes. The stranger stood at the end of the bar, apparently unhurt, except for a spot of red that so slowly spread beneath the left pocket of his shirt. The Golden Gulch is a ghost town now. Its mining days are done. There was coyote tracks and tumble shacks, bleached white by the desert sun. The Lucky Star is deserted now, littered with sand and straw. With the laughter rang out, and the dandy's gang, one drank to his lightning draw. And the silver bells and the golden spurs still hang in their place of fame above the bar at the Lucky Star, still waiting for the victor's claim.
Donnie, are you reading?
Not tonight.
What did he say?
Nope. Not tonight, he said.
Okay. Okay. You know how to zoom it there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My name's Joe Dan Boyd. I'm one of the founding members of this organization, and I've got 2 or 3 subjects that I want to talk about and read about here. And one is the fact that, does anybody know what season it is besides the Ides of March? Lent. Anybody know what that is? Church season of Lent? Okay, I'm going to read you a little something that I wrote. I don't really call this poetry, although some people do. They would call it free verse poetry. I call it lyrical prose. This is my impression of Lent. Something, I didn't date this, so I don't know when I wrote it, but it's my attitude toward Lent. The church tradition of giving up something for Lent has never before struck me as a time of truly great power or meaningful sacrifice. After all, since Jesus actually died on the cross willingly to atone for our sins, and his, not his own certainly, how could anything I might give up ever begin to compare with such an ultimate sacrifice? Really a sacrifice of such unselfish magnitude. It's the sort of act that awards a Medal of Honor to soldiers, most often posthumously after they have died. Thus the answer has heretofore always seemed so obvious to me that I've not bought into the idea of, or a tradition as you might call it, of the church that's a universal thing almost, until now. Part of my changed attitude can be attributed to advancing age. I'm older. Now that's itself filled with both reward and sacrifice, just getting older. While I'm still healthy, it's difficult to see how I might expect to have much more than another, I don't know, say 5 years of highly productive work left in me. And certainly no more than 5 years of high creativity. My entire adult life, more than half a century, has been spent as an active journalist, a writer. And I have only one published book to my credit, although several others lurk impatiently in the crevices of my consciousness. Therefore, I have announced my retirement from what is perhaps the greatest volunteer job I ever had. Communications coordinator of Tenney Chapel, a small membership church founded by my cotton farmer grandfather, Ambrose Tenney, in 1900, and where I was baptized in 1953, following the lead of my mother, who was baptized in 1928. During my many years in this wonderful position, I branded Jim, the Tenney Chapel as, quote, the quintessential country church. And that church has since been awarded 2 awards for excellence in rural ministry, the best in the North Texas Conference those 2 years. It's only been a few days, actually it's been a few years now since I announced my retirement. But I wrote this just a few days after I announced my retirement from that position. But it's already apparent to me just a few days after that that job had really become a part of my DNA, and I missed it terribly. Each and every day I missed it terribly. But I thought those were only withdrawal symptoms that I would get over. As time went on, I would adjust, draw nearer to God, who gave me life, I hoped I would find comfort in serving him with new words and new images, imagined and inspired for a higher purpose. When asked to explain my decision to retire from that job, I can only point to a favorite passage from the Old Testament book of Job. Quote, "How forcible are right words." Now, since then, I've obviously come out of retirement, and I have taken that job seriously, continue to do it. Not on a full-time basis as I used to, but I still do it. Another thing that is going on right now, in addition to March 15 being famous for the day Julius Caesar got whacked on the Ides of March, it's also the birthday of my one and only grandchild, Sonny Pryor, Sunshine. And today is her birthday.
Woohoo! Happy birthday, Sonny!
Happy birthday to Sonny Pryor. I've already sent her my annual birthday message. I didn't bring that along to read, but a few years ago on her birthday, I was inspired to write a poem about her and that particular birthday. 6 years ago, I wrote this. And I read it here at the time. I'm going to read it again because I have not written another poem in her honor since. But this one is called, the title of this poem is 29. Do any of you remember when you were 29? Those of you who have not yet attained that age. Well, here it is. Here was the way I summarized what that birthday meant to her and to me. Mathematicians dub it the 10th prime number, and also the 4th primordial prime, a Lucas prime, a Pell prime, a Tetrasecchi number, and most meaning and most amazing, a surprisingly singular prime. Theologians refer to 29 principles of the Bishnoi, observed by Bishnoi these 5 centuries and more. Bish in Hindu means 20 and Noi means 9. Thus, Bishnoi translates to 29ers at its core. Scientists calculate 29 as the atomic number of copper. Astronomers count a lunar month close to 29 days. The number of years Saturn takes to orbit the sun. The number of February days that a leap year pays. Linguists say 29 is the number of alphabet letters in Turkish, Finnish, Swedish, Faroese, Danish, Norwegian, while lovers of literature know 29 as the number of canutes to a sickle of currency in Harry Potter region. 29 is the interstate between Missouri and North Dakota. And 29 Palms is the name of a famous California town. It's the track from which the Chattanooga choo-choo train departs in the Glenn Miller song of long ago, Big Band Renown. The 29 is often used in New Zealand for the missing miners and contractors believed to have been killed in the Pike River mine disaster in November of 2010. Which brings me to my granddaughter, Sonny Pryor, highly skilled. And currently, this Ides of March 2013, studying diligently there at Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand, on a Fulbright scholarship toward a master's in social policy, existing as a vegetarian vermicillion. Today is Sonny's birthday, and today she turns 29. That final year of the roaring 20s, younger than I by a half century, but having brightened my life for more than the sun itself. Love you forever, I say. On this you can rely.
Oh.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, this is something of a birthday for this organization, Live Poets Society. I have in my hand here some documents to that effect. As I say, I'm a founding member. I'm not the founder, but I am one of the first members of this. I met at the first time this organization ever met. And here is a list of personnel, Live Poets Society, established March 19, 2010. Okay, so we're 9 years old in a few days, 4 days from now. Our birthday will come. I have here also a picture made two years later in 2012 of when we were meeting in Conrad's Emporium, Conrad Wolfman's Emporium, on North Main Street at the time, not on Market Street, as most recently remember. And here was a story that I wrote, a news release actually. Live Poets Society, the brainchild of facilitator Bonnie Sarkeesian White. This group first gathered on March 19 at Winnsboro Center for the Arts, with which each attendee was instructed to bring a single poem, preferably a recent creation, for reading before the group and to discuss a mission statement. A mission statement. Those attending the first meeting, Bonnie Sarkeesian White, Liz Soutinger, Jodan Boyd, Karen Jerome, Johnny Jerome, Angela Wiley, Lucy Germany. If you'd like to attend this next meeting, scheduled for April 16, also at Winnsboro Center for the Arts, bring a poem to read and a favorite book, preferably on poetry, as recommended reading for the group. As it turned out, we didn't continue meeting at the Winnsboro Center for the Arts. We moved over into the A&E, what was the name of that, Conrad?
Arts and Espresso.
Arts and Espresso, across the street, and we met there for a while. And then eventually Conrad Wolfman offered to host us in his emporium, then on North Main Street, later on to Market Street. And most of you remember that evolution, so to speak. And, you know, as it turns out, that year of our birth, 2010, later that year, in fact, it was September 16, I wrote a poem in 2010. This would be November 16, 2010, the same year we were formed. I wrote this poem and it was actually intended to be a poem about my daily life, because I'm involved in a number of things, as all of you are. And I just sat down and wrote a poem about what was going on in my life. And I advise all of you sometimes, if you're looking for an inspiration, a reason to write something, that's a good way to do it. And I just called this poem The Summer of 2010. We patched the roads in a 154-year-old cemetery. Dark oil sand, pulverized, smoothly rolled, easier pathways for all, whether strong or weary, visiting those who left us, the young, the old. Days of sunshine, the granddaughter's presence. Her smile is instant, open, laughter's child. The long weekends with Sonny, life's essence, her departures unwelcome, somehow darkly wild. We storyboard a video for the church's ESL class. Interview those with experiences to share. Our cameras capture images, freeze frames in mass, voiceovers record our story for all who care. Native Americans share medicine, culture, art, each third Thursday. Choctaw, Kiowa, Cherokee, language, beadwork, feathers, dance, then part. Remembering sadly, not all of us are yet free. Carpool to Dallas's historic theater, Lakewood, Methodists, all. We're fans of Wesley called John. The movie bears his name, captures that which is good. Founder of the Wesleyan theology, we choose to join. To Dallas again with those who love the ukulele. We practice the circle of fifths. At least we try. Sopranos, concerts, tenors, baritones, play gaily. Tiny mini guitars, small guitars, like jumping fleas on the fly. 2 assignments from the Methodist paper arrive, sending me to places like Quinlan and Cuthand, coverage of Methodist women whose ministries thrive. A cowboy church filled with the Spirit's brand. When did summer heat elevate to punishing highs? Or when did my tolerance drop to such lows? Am I a victim of global warming, political rise, or did I, so in love with life, just grow old? I may be living on time stolen, time borrowed, but I will not begrudge any extra slice. Life may be strange, complex, even sorrowed, but of all God's gifts, nothing is nearly so nice. Ain't it the truth? Those are my poetic reflections for this day. And I'll say one announcement. Tomorrow night, some of you sitting here will be at Tenney Chapel, United Methodist Church, 2 miles south of here, on just off 320, past Brookshire's, 2 miles, turn left on 4620, and there will be a free concert. We're in our 7th year of free music concerts at Tenney Chapel. Starts at 6:30, end at 8 promptly. 90 minutes of free family entertainment. And tomorrow night, Doc Davis, Ken Martinson will be on the program.
Kris Martinson.
Pardon me?
Kris.
I can't hear very well.
Kris.
What did I say?
Ken.
Ken Eaton is over here. I'm sorry. I'm getting the names mixed up. Ken Eaton and Donna Pitts are also performers. They're not going to be on the program tomorrow night, but they've been on the program a lot of times. They call themselves the Franklin County Troubadours. Ken Eaton and Donna Pitts. And Kris, spelled with a K,
Yeah.
Martinson, and Doc Davis will perform together. Doc will assist me also in a performance. But we also have on the program Darrell Smith and Ora Young, Roger Berry, one of the greatest guitar virtuosos you'll ever get a chance to hear.
Is that Darrell Reagan, did you say?
Darrell Reagan.
Darrell Reagan.
And
What did I
Ora.
Smith.
say? Did I say Smith? When I first sent the news release out of it, I had his name Darrell Smith, who is a close friend of mine from when I used to work with Farm Journal. And I just was writing out Darrell Reagan, and of course, Darrell Smith come to mind. And I didn't even notice that I had sent it out wrong. And fortunately, my proofreader, Doc Davis, caught it, and we got it corrected in time. So thank you very much, Doc. Roger Berry, Ron Lawson, a great balladeer and guitar picker. George Jordan, the original Tin Shop of Troubadour, will close our program. It'll be a wonderful 90 minutes of picking and singing. Music of your life. We hope some of you who may not have been there before, will have a chance to come and be with us tomorrow night, starting at 6:30. We always
You said it was free, is that the reason we're not getting paid?
well, we're not charging the people for it. We're paying you in love and gratitude.
All right. I'd like to say that the Troubadours has never had to give back anybody's money. We're that good.
And the letters and things keep coming.
Say again?
The letters and
Cards and letters.
Cards and letters,
keep coming in.
Okay, we always close with a paragraph from How to Read a Poem, subtitled And Fall in Love with Poetry, a book by Edward Hirsch. Since we only read a paragraph a month of this, I'm going to have to turn this over to somebody else, because I'm not going to live long enough to finish this book. So probably Kris will wind up being, he's our youngest. He'll probably wind up reading this at some point.
You might turn to a grandpa before you get ready.
Okay, tonight's paragraph is as follows. I am sowing grain on the headland, I will not live long. The recognition here is that what he is planting is endangered, imperiled, vulnerable. What he plants, he will not be able to protect. The sowing of grain on the headland is his last gesture, his way of putting a message in a bottle when he knows he won't last much longer. The poem concludes with a terrible recognition. Unfortunately, tonight's paragraph is quite short, and you just heard it all. I'm marking the spot to begin next month, and we hope all of you will be here, and tell your friends, poets or otherwise, to be here. This is also free, as you know. Thank you to Vic Clark, owner of this building, for allowing us to be here, for Donnie Ditto, the manager of this gallery, who has stepped around in front. We can't see him right now. We're grateful to Vic Clark and Donnie Ditto for the wonderful facilities tonight. Thanks so much. And as always, thanks to Conrad Wolfman for keeping us going, keeping us together, providing shelter when we didn't have it anywhere, and for continuing to basically lead us and keep us organized and functioning as a group. And thanks to everyone for being here.
Go, Dan, forward. Close us out.